Is it better now?
Salam, salam again, all FinTech fellows and FinTech CEO Club members and our faster community members to our new event today. We will talk about FinTech development as well, because one of the big movement and action in FinTech for digital aspect of the view, as payment, as open banking, as banks sharing their APIs to the all marketplace, and startups can leverage of these, and all of these affecting the whole market positively, of course, because there is digital demands from streets, and already end users become very well digitalized with their mobile phones, and as well as new generation came, as we say millennium generation, and their expectation different from banks, yeah, as bureaucracy, as fast as digitally, as UX, as UI, as all the subjects also on board today. Digital transformation, some examples of digital transformation of industrial transformation, as well as FinTech and banking, bank technology market, we will talk about today. We have again new and very valuable speakers, and in 1 hour, as much as possibly in 1 hour, as one meeting time normally, we will insightful, very knowledge based and informative, innovative digital speech we will do again today. And shukran for your attendance as live event today. And let me introduce our speakers today. Our speakers from Istanbul, from Oman, from Kuwait, from London. They will talk about the market as much as possible in agile way, and you will enjoy, inshallah, this dynamic and agile conversation from this insightful and experienced people. So let Fatin Hanım, we would like to learn about from you, and what is your speech today is brief info, and then we will detailedly enter the subject.
Certainly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone on board. Happy to meet you once again. So this is Dr. Fatin Az-Zajali, Acting Assistant Dean at the College of Banking and Financial Studies and Head of Islamic Finance, and a board member at the Faster community. So today I have prepared a presentation actually. Brother Mustafa, would you like me to go about the mini presentation that I have prepared, or shall we complete the introductions and come back?
After introduction first stage, then we will presentation.
Wonderful. So go ahead, present the rest of the panel, and I'll be here, inshallah.
Most welcome. So let's go to London. Mr. Shahar Bey, welcome.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Jazakallah khair, Brother Mustafa. Thank you very much everyone to be here today with us. My name is Dr. Shahar Abbas. I am the founder and the managing director of IFIN. IFIN is the Islamic Finance Initiation Network. It's the first of its kind Islamic fintech. We are launching first in Oman, inshallah, in our beloved country in Oman. And we chose Oman specifically because we had the good relationship with the central banks and the banks there, but also because they are currently the only GCC country who do not actually allow tawarruk. And that's actually very important. So our solution will connect the banks to retailers together. So we see IFIN as a link between the real economy and the finance. And that's very important to do, which tawarruk actually pushes usually the real economy from the finance economy. So that's in a nutshell, inshallah, and we can talk more about this and what we can do with IFIN and how we can make it an essential tool, inshallah, for the transformation of Islamic banks in the region.
Most welcome, Shahar Bey, and let me go to Istanbul. Hani Idris Bey nowadays for a trip in Istanbul as me, and Hani Idris, welcome.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميعا. أنا اسمي هاني إدريس، مصرفي من عام 76 في الكويت مع بنك الكويت للشرق الأوسط إلى عام 90. عام 90 رجعت على الأردن، اشتغلت سنتين في بنك الإسكان و11 عاما في البنك الأهلي الأردني. ومن ثم ذهبت إلى اليمن لمدة 5 سنوات مع البنك التجاري اليمني، كنت مدير عام لهذا البنك. ورجعت إلى الأردن في عام 2009، يعني تقاعدت إلى حد ما، وكنت مستشار للمين ايجنت اوف ماستر كارد في الأردن. وبنفس الفترة أسست شركة. Oh, sorry, I'm speaking in Arabic. I'm very sorry. I will.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
I'm
We've
sorry.
enjoyed it for a change.
I will again. Just I'm a banker. I start my banking profile with Bank of Kuwait and Middle East in Kuwait from 1976 to 1990. Then I moved back to Jordan. I spent 2 years with Housing Bank and 11 years with Jordan National Bank. I left Jordan National Bank in 2004. I was the deputy GM, and I went to Yemen for 5 years, GM of Yemen Commercial Bank. Then I returned back to Jordan by 2009. I was the executive consultant of International Cards Company and a main agent of MasterCard International at that time in Jordan. And I established what I can call my own institution or company, systems company for consultancy. I'm relying on my exposure as a banker with, my profile as a banker with good exposure in banking technology, payments, cards, and now what we can call digital financial services. We work on giving priority to emerging markets in the region. And I'm here now in Istanbul for a business trip. I will be back tonight, so I have to say sorry for you at 16:10, because I have to check out and report to the airport. I am interested to be, a member with this community. I think maybe I am also, a board member at FASTER group. Am I?
Yes, welcome, Anibay.
This is in brief, and I'm happy, I'm glad to be with this sort of, unique and professional, selected people all over, the region, and mainly from the Arab world. Thank you very much, Mustafa, for your kind cooperation and coordination and being, patient with us. Thank you.
Most welcome, Anibay. As far as I understand, you have a time problem, time restriction because of your travel now. How many dakika you have now? In 1 hour you have?
I can stay up to 4:10. Okay, the session is 1 hour. I understand, isn't it?
Yeah, it's yes.
So
yes.
I'm okay with the 1 hour. I can leave at 4:10.
Okay.
After 1 hour exactly.
Let's go to the Kuwait. Mohammed Al Rashidi Bey, from the beginning, he is joining us and supporting us. Welcome, Mohammed Al Rashidi Bey. Many salam to Kuwait. We would like to a little bit about you, hear about you, and then your speech. Of course, as far as I feel, your speech a little will be decentralized finance. Yeah.
Thank you, brother Mustafa. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So this is Mohammed Rashidi. I'm a computer engineer, and I'm a founder of One Global Group. Started back in 2004. It's a digital transformation and innovation company based in Kuwait and have a 17 countries footprint in digital healthcare and digital finance and digital entertainment and digital tourism. In One Global, we started our FinTech journey, and it is Sharia compliant since October 2007 in Sudan, with the launching on Nokia phones, Sarraf Mobile. If you Google Sarraf Mobile, you can find it. Sarraf Mobile, it was decentralized, using mobile Nokia phones for wallet and payment and network of cash in and cash out agents. Then after that, of course, there is a tragic story behind that. Central banks shut us down, and lots of stuff happened. We can discuss this later. We went back to Kuwait and we launched our BlackBerry payment platform on BlackBerry. BlackBerry were introduced after Nokia for top-up and bill payment for mobile operators using banks payment gateways. And then after that, we went into merchant marketplace. We opened our license in Bahrain as a regulated, first regulated entity for electronic payment services. We've been today awarded a prepaid issuing also at a new bank in Bahrain for MasterCard card. We've been certified also by MasterCard to issue these cards. We are running one of the biggest digital goods marketplace in the entire region for teenagers and millennials marketplace with 3.5 million users is using it. And we do have a merchant management platform for acceptance using QR, in-app, in-store, and digital point of sale setup, omni-channel. With Innovation Lab, we are going into the next technologies. So we have 3 working groups. The first working group is talking about decentralized cloud, distributed cloud, and digital transformation. The second working group is about DLT and consensus and cryptism and smart contracts, which is the blockchain, one of the applications. And out of that, we come up with a complete Sharia compliant asset tokenization platform that foster decentralized sukuks and financial securities in that context out from Switzerland. And the third,
Mohammed Bey, your voice coming a little hardly. If you can set up a little microphone issue.
Okay. Is it okay now?
No, better.
The voice. That's it. Still?
Better.
Better?
Yes.
So I was talking about the asset tokenization for Sharia compliant assets. Sukuk is the core of it. Out from Switzerland, we get also our approval from FINMA, no action letter for that. And we are launching later this year in October out from Dubai, inshallah. We do have our AI, the last research group is data and AI. So we have our own data infrastructure and inference and reasoning and decision engine. So this is at a glance what Global doing.
Shukran, Mohammed Bey. And after this first stage, it seems that really very effective projects and innovation you have already. You are, I think, player of the region transformation for FinTech Alam. So as FinTech MENA group event series that we started, shukran for your support and valuable contribution from now. And let's continue in a little deeply with Fatin Hanım. And I give you presentation screen share option if you like, by the way.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to share my screen, and I promise that I'm not going to take so much time. I prepared something because I thought that it would be beneficial for our viewers to understand a little bit more about the significance of innovation and digitization nowadays, specifically with the young generation and the demand. I'm sure that most of you who have kids, you will see that the children are very glued to their devices. And I call it, the effect of the click of a button in which they would like solutions and demanding for it nowadays. So this is a brief. Okay, I don't know why. Here we go. What is happening today? So more customers are turning into the digital channels nowadays. So, in the mid of 2016, 3.9 trillion is estimated in the bill payment market, which includes housing, utilities, taxes, and insurance. So the digitization is really going forward. And in fact, you know, there are estimates that 75% increase will be, you know, estimated in 2022. Of course, we know that the Chinese effect is really very impactful. In fact, you know, China is leading this particular market when it comes to digitization. And it's really taken a wonderful share of it. In my reports over here says that in China, it's accounted for 38% of global AI startup funding. So, you know, everything is becoming digitized, more efficient, more, you know, easy for the market for their grabs. Unfortunately, however, banks are not making the investment in technology to maximize their share in this market. So there's a lot of tech-savvy individuals at the moment. They are looking for third-party, you know, enablers that make it convenient for them for entry and so forth. So again, there is an effect of chatbots at the moment. You know, the integration and embedment of chatbots technologies that could benefit the banks even further. I'm sure that the bankers are using it at the moment, but there is more, you know, the time effect that we are looking forward when it comes to our servicing, because, you know, the young generation now are very interested to have these services when they need it, not when they are offered. So the dynamism of the market is quite different. So we need to understand what's happening at the moment. So these are in terms of figures. When I'm speaking about Oman, and this is, by the way, only Oman. So we have 131 mobile use penetration in the market. We have a neighboring country which is 180%, which means they have 2 mobile phones in which they are transacting and doing everything. I mean, this is really amazing. The young is taken over. The population of the young generation in Oman is huge as well. And when I say glued, it is because of a reason. That's why, you know, they are you know, all the services are enabled through, you know, the mobile. So let me give you a brief about the evolution of digital innovation and financial services, because we think this is happening from now only. But Brett King differs. He says in his book, Bank 4.0, that in fact, we have been doing this for a long time right now, the evolution and the development. So there is this Bank 1.0 in 1472, 1980s, in which the bank was very focused on the branch businesses, and the Bank 2.0 in 1980s and 2007, in which the first ATM machine was invented. So, you know, the place and the timing was placed as well forward for the consumers to, you know, utilize their services through those channels. And Bank 3.0, 2007, you know, all of us, Steve Jobs invented the smartphone and made it easy for applications and so forth for us to install it. And now in this particular era, 4.0 is the AI with its innovation and what it's bringing. In my presentation, I'm going to focus on AI. I know, you know, many people would say blockchain and mobile enablement and so forth, but AI is really a game changer due to the algorithms that it can collect and make it easy for the financial institution to go forward and, you know, use this data for several functions. And I'm going to explain in the next slides on what exactly can AI do for the financial institution. But before this, let us define what is AI. AI is a set of technologies that are able to perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence. So visual perception, speech recognition, decision-making, translation between languages, and the fact that you can, you know, now have a face recognition mechanism in your phone. It's just making it easy for you, for your even identification process. AI software can handle huge amounts of unstructured and structured data. So this automation feature is over there that makes things more efficient, more easy, more hands-on. So this is briefly what is AI. How can the artificial intelligence movement help finance? So this is a brief you know, a diagram that I took actually from the Islamic Development Bank. They have made a wonderful report in which they are, you know, making the different functions that, you know, they're in finance very intertwined with what's happening. So we have the different functions, you know, being together, wrapped up in one particular umbrella. So you have the charity, the crowdfunding, which is on investments, digital remittance. It's changing now, whether it is blockchain or whether it is on using the different cryptocurrencies available, impact investment platform, retail green blue securities, and fractional asset ownership, and of course, robo-advisory, which is amazing and can be used even better for the Islamic financial institutions. So these are a couple of, understanding of the intermediation process of banks and what do they really do when it comes to collecting money and handing over money. So, of course, we always have a connection. Specifically, due to the, the fact that Islamic finance is a specialization of mine. So I always think, what can AI do when it comes to the Islamic financial function? And we have really discussed about the different structures that are very unique to the Islamic financial industry. For instance, we have the risk and the equity-based contracts. How can we apply them? So this is a very brief way of, perception map of how can we actually apply them with the شركة المال, with شركة الوجوه, with the mudaraba, classical mudaraba, and of course the predictive analytics, which makes it easier for us to understand this data and integrate it within the financial institutions. These are some of the applications over there. The risk modeling, because in the banking sector, it has been all the time kind of accused of doing the risk shifting, not the risk sharing. So this is something that the Islamic finance structure is really looking forward to apply it. But then there is that risk assessment issue that we need to take care of as a bank. Of course, Islamic banks are not set up for charity, but in fact, they are looking for profitability at the end of the day. So these are some of the applications that hopefully it can be, and there are some of the startup innovations happening that address these particular functions. So risk assessment is another component that have been discussed in the Islamic Bank Development Report. Of course, the bank is set up differently than other financial institutions. When I speak of Islamic banking, the partnership model is more prominent. And it is important to understand that no bank will give you credit unless you prove worthy for that creditworthiness. In Oman, the Central Bank of Oman at the moment is setting up the Mala'a, which makes it easier for personal finance to happen, for other kind of financing. And this is something that I have took from the Islamic Development Bank as well, a sentence that is quite interesting. Hardly no lending was possible without collateral until the 90s, as granting a loan to possible defaulter, false positive. It's more costlier than not granting a credit to otherwise a good borrower. So of course, the bank would be very hesitant to give credit to that particular false positive personality, and for the bank to understand and make an analysis. He needs data, and AI can help him to collect that particular information. So artificial intelligence is very powerful. You can collect data from Facebook, from Instagram, Twitter. I personally use LinkedIn. I think it's more professional. The application of artificial intelligence using alternate data may enable developing more accurate algorithms to assess creditworthiness, to assess the failure rate, develop tailored pricing, and of course, understanding your customer. Who is your customer? Nowadays, when I put on YouTube, even the YouTube knows what I like in terms of interest. So it will provide me the videos using those algorithms to suit and customize those requirements for me. So AI looks quite interesting, and if applied properly, it can directly affect the ecosystem of the Islamic fintech industry. Of course, these are wonderful startups, initiatives with this very different classification, whether it's P2P finance or personal finance or robo-advisory or challenger banking or crowdfunding. It can be used effectively to ensure efficiency, to reduce costs, to finally, maybe through these technologies, perfecting a structure that is more Islamic when it comes to risk-sharing models. As Dr. Shahar, before we started, we were discussing about the fact that you have to back up everything with an asset. So how can we do that if we don't have an integrated framework and enable us to reach those particular structures and underpinning frameworks that we have been discussing all over, and make my professors happy at university, because they always criticize banks and how they are shifting the risk and not sharing the risk. So maybe it's time to see that change. So this is like a mini presentation. Sorry if I took some of the time. I just wanted to give like a framework for the audience to understand what is the necessity and significance of the digitization aspect in the financial service industry. Thank you.
Most welcome, Fatin Hanım. Shukran for your sharings, and you underline AI and data. It is one of the major issue that in the meaning of digital transformation of every companies and institutions. Shukran for your sharing again, and then let's go. Let's, as you mentioned, that Dr. Shaher, we would like to hear from you your perspective and your point of view, how you are turning and transforming the business around fintech industry.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Fatih, for this amazing, and brief and to the point presentation. I think I would like to pick up from where you left in terms of the presentation and continue with the discussion on the transformation and the digitalization. The Islamic banking sector, and this is more, focusing on the Islamic banking sector. So since it was set up or established, let's say, back in the 70s, last century, the Islamic industry itself, the Islamic finance industry, was trying to play catch up with the conventional. And of course, we've seen, even when we started to catch up early, at the beginning of this century, there was the coming fintech and the changes that happened, which actually increased back again the if you want, the gap between the services, the type of services offered by conventional bank compared to the type of services that offered by an Islamic bank. And of course, this is mainly due to the fact that Islamic banks has to deal with the operation side of the transaction differently. So there is more hassle for the bank to do, and that was reflected on the customer. So when the customers want to buy a car or want to have a finance, when they look at the conventional side and they look at the Islamic side, they will say, well, this is actually too much hassle, too much paperwork, too many visits to the bank and to the retailer to be able actually to finance my car or to obtain something on finance. And that was triggering the question in my head all the time about how we can actually resolve this issue, how we can actually provide a solution that can jump, take the industry, not only on the sense that actually you have to provide the same service of the conventional, but also try to put it ahead of the conventional, right? So and this technology, this fintech revolution that happened in the last few years has given us the possibility to do this jump. So now when you do anything, you don't think about actually moving one step or two steps. You do something and you think about jumping 20 steps. And this is the beauty about the fintech. So we're talking about solving many issues that was for hundreds of years there existing, and the banks could not deal with it, could not transform it, as we saw on the AI side, and how that will impact the way the credit itself is being done. But for us in IFIN, when we started thinking about IFIN, we wanted to create a tool to the banks, to the Islamic banks, to become as a stepping stone for them to the digital world, to the digital transformation. Now, if each bank wants to do their own transformation, it will take them a longer time to reach to that point. So what we said, okay, why don't we just create this solution and allow all the banks to use IFIN as their arm to the digital world. So now we focused on the finance side of the process, which is the most difficult part of the Islamic side, and allowing bank actually to do the entire financing process end to end with digital solution, complete digital solution. That was the objective, and that's what we achieved through IFIN. So now, usually, if you want to get a finance solution, then you have to go to the branch, and that's the way thinking, you know, the decision thinking of finance, right? So you first imagine yourself that you want to buy, let's say, a laptop, right? So the normal way of thinking is that, okay, can I afford it? If you can afford it, you got just go and pay with it with your debit card or even a credit card. You don't think about taking a finance on a small scale. When you're going to think about taking a finance, if you're buying a house, if you're buying a car, typically, yes, you think about the finance and then you go to the branch, you go to the bank. But normally, if you're going normal shopping, the starting process will be that you are at the retailer. Now, what will happen now, if the retailers now is offering you a finance, then your processing of how you gonna buy is gonna change. And this is one of the major changes for the process itself that we brought from a consumer point of view. So the consumer, as he's at the store now, can be offered to finance the goods that he wants to buy, right? And now, when you offer this choice, you're gonna think, okay, let's say I have a $500 in my pocket. Shall I pay it now, or shall I take a finance? And in most cases, the customer with the normal circumstances will say, actually, no, I don't want to pay the 500 out of my pocket now. Let me take it as a finance on the bank, and maybe be paying $20 or $30 a month through a contract. So now what will happen, basically, that a customer that has never thought about financing will start thinking about the finance, right? Making more business for the retailer and making more business for the bank. And the finance itself, it's no longer something that you think of when you have a big amount. No, actually, it's something you can think of even if you're having a small amount. So that's what IFIN means to the retailer and the consumer. But on the bank side, if you want to come to the bank and to do an application, you have to go to the branch. And then from the branch team will have to do a file for you. And that file's internally paperwork transfer usually to the credit officer, who has to look at it and take a decision according to the credit policy of the bank. And I know I'm talking technical here, but I think this is important for people to understand that there is a journey for every application internally within the bank. Even after you get approved, then you have to come back to the branch again to sign the contract. And then from there, the back office team of the bank has to enter the deal manually into the core banking system. So there is 3 or 4 different stages, which is usually 90% of it manual, that happen within the Islamic bank to complete one finance deal. And what IFIN do actually is to try to digitalize the entire process. So the application process happens at the retailer. The credit decision engine automated within IFIN will take the credit decision. And then we finally create the deal directly into the core banking system. So technically, we allow for end-to-end digitalization for the finance process completely, with the buying and the selling of the goods, with the entire Sharia control within the process. And this process has not been presented before in the Islamic finance industry at all. They have something similar, which is related to tawarruk, which is, to be honest, is for me is not really a product. It's just basically mimicking what a conventional loan will do. And this is really one of the objectives of IFIN, is actually to provide the solutions for the banks to get rid of the tawarruk product. And this is important because, as we see now, the regulators and even AWAFI, which is the accounting and auditing organization for Islamic financial institutions, they are looking more now into making the tawarruk product is more prohibited, right? So they're moving now to make it a prohibited product, not allowed to be used by the banks. And if you look to many of the banks in the GCC, you will find that's actually 70 to 80, and in some banks we found 90 to 95% of the transactions is based on tawarruk. So the minute this product actually being prohibited by the central banks and AWAFI, then you have a big problem. You have a big gap in the market. What these banks will have to do, how they can replace these products. And this is what we're bringing this solution for them. I have a short video that actually can explain the product. I'm not sure if you can allow me to share the screen, and maybe I will just share with you the short video for 2 minutes.
I make co-host you can share.
Thank you.
Shahar Bhai.
So this is our usual presentation. We talk about the problems and then we talk about the solution that we bring to IFIN. And this is the video that I would like to share with you.
Assalamu alaikum. Meet Abdullah. Abdullah and his family want to buy a new car. They like this car, but it is over Abdullah's budget. He thinks, I can get an Islamic finance. He requests a quotation from the salesman to take it to the Islamic bank. The second day, Abdullah goes to the Islamic bank, where he waits to meet the branch staff. He finally meets the staff, who asks Abdullah to bring a few documents to start the approval process. Abdullah goes to collect the required documents, paying a visit to his office to obtain the salary confirmation. Then he goes back to his branch again. The branch staff informs Abdullah that he will get a call with the bank's decision in a few days. After 2 days, Abdullah's application is approved, so he should go back to the bank to complete the process. Abdullah goes back to the bank again, signs the required documents, and goes back to the showroom. Finally, Abdullah gets his car after a long and exhausting process. This is the typical story of a customer using the current Islamic finance process. Now let's see how the story goes using IFIN. IFIN, the fintech that links financial institutions with retailers for instant Islamic financing. Abdullah and his family want to buy a new car. They like this car, but it is over Abdullah's budget. They see the IFIN logo. Abdullah inquires about the solution and applies for a finance with his preferred Islamic bank, providing his details to the sales staff and confirming his identity with a simple finger scan, and gets his finance approved instantly. Abdullah signs the required documents and drives away with his family in their brand new, hassle-free car. IFIN. Join the future now.
So as you can see, a process that usually now takes a few days, we can make it within 10 minutes end to end. The credit decision itself, how we collect the information from the different parties, from the bank, from the credit bureau, and actually take a decision, it takes about 20 seconds. It's the same time you will usually do when you try to pay with your card. So now a credit decision that usually will take, let's say, a day or something to be made in a bank, normally in a normal circumstances, that will be done within 20 seconds. So there's a lot of features we try to do, specifically keeping and maintaining the Sharia compliant. But the main thing that we want to do is actually to do a different business model. So it's not a software. What we offer is not really a software for the banks. We provide a complete solution where we say to the banks, actually, we want to help you to do business, and we will bring and onboard all the retailers for you. So you don't have to worry as a bank anymore about that. And every single retailer become a branch where customers in that branch, in that retailer, can apply for the bank. So imagine you have 500 or 1,000 retailers connected to the platform. Every single person coming to these retailers will be able to apply to finance at that time. And this is really what makes a difference, right? So the banks is no longer limited by the physical, and that's one of what Dr. Fatih was saying, this is the changes that's happening now. We're moving from the physical actually to the digital world, to the digital transformation, where people can apply from anywhere they want to obtain a finance. I don't want to make it longer than this, and I hope that I have explained enough for you, and I will leave some part also, inshallah, for the discussion. You are still muted, Brother Mustafa.
Sorry. Most welcome, Shahar Bey. It is as this session was already this main session, so you really comprehensively explained the as product, we can say also. As far as I understand, you have a product as a services, and together with a bank, you are giving services to the retail and end users via retail markets, as far as I understand. Now let's continue with Hani Bey. Hani Bey, we would like to hear from you as you are coming to Istanbul. For Istanbul is a good target for holiday reason, but also business reason. Maybe you are giving consultancy as far as we know. You are one of the fintech and finance and especially in payment industry, one of the well-known figure as consultant. Please, we would like to hear from you about from payment perspective on open banking and fintech and banking perspective about your consideration about digital transformation and what do you think about in a question of what is digital transformation in point of from your point of view?
Thank you, Brother Mustafa. I'm not going to talk, technical at this level. I will just only go on brief. Now, we as a human, we are on the fourth, revolution, which is the digitalization revolution. Because, digital transformation is a fact. But the issue I'm going to raise based on my capacity, I'm a member of what we call in the Arab world is Arab Banking Innovation and Digital Transformation Council. We did a sort of survey, and it was a selective survey that was 2 months back. We nominate 8 banks from all over the Arab world, okay? And we did an exercise, what we call digital maturity index, as it relates how ready the banking industry in the Arab world as it relates to digital transformation. It was from 5 minutes. We find that the average is only 2.8 out of 5. Still, most of the banks in the Arab world have not really taken the digital transformation as it should be, and based on what is their strategy to really migrate from the existing environment, where are we now, to the digital transformation and the trends or technology trends and the process. I understand, and this is my comments on this, we have really to start being sure that we educate the banks and the bankers on the following. For me, digital transformation is a customer journey. You are digitizing the customer journey, the customer, of the bank's journey. You are digitizing the institution itself. I'm talking about mainly now banks and financial institutions in the financial industry in general. Digital transformation is, a civilization process, which means that you have to take into consideration all stakeholders involved in this process. The institution itself, the management, the governance, the staff, the employees, the customer, operations and products and services, all elements involved in the process of digital transformation must be kept into consideration, as it is really a civilization process and it's a culture change from an environment, era of culture, to another environment. In the meantime, I believe what is going on now, from humanity point of view, we are building the rules of the relation and integration between 3 basic elements: the physical element, the digital element, and the biological element. Because this is what's going on exactly, and we have to keep that into consideration, that it's a mix of the 3 elements related to physical, digital, and biometrical. In the meantime, the most problem we face in the most of the banks, that they are led by the IT people. And the IT people, most of them are eliminating and summarizing digital transformation as if it is something really technology, or it is simply a mobile and internet functionality, which is not at all. It's more than that. Probably internet and IT, artificial intelligence, whatever is the basic and the more and the core of the digital transformation process, but it's not the only element. You have to keep into consideration the other elements involved. Okay, and it is a continuous, a process. This is my comment in this regard to consider. And in the meantime, when we talk about digital transformation, we don't talk about digital transformation as if it is something really we should or we should not do. We must do. Digital transformation is mandatory. It's not a choice. If the bank is not, or financial institution is going to take that into consideration, it will be a problem. Because the customer attitude is totally changed. The customer changed, the style of the customer changed, the need of the customer changed, everything related to the customer have been really totally changed. And we are in the Arab world, we are a very young community. 70% of the Arab people are below 30 years. So you have to plan not for Hani Idris of 69 years old. No, you must plan for the young people. Dr. Shahir, Dr. Muhammad, Dr. Fatim, don't plan for Hani Idris. I'm really serious with that. This is the new generation. They are different. The style is different. The attitude is different. The needs is different. The way of thinking is really totally different. In the meantime, it's a fact. Technology disruption is a fact. We cannot deny that. And we cannot continue without taking that into consideration. In the meantime, the digital transformation is not meant to the banking and financial institutions. Maybe they are the first to really comply with, but it means all the industries, all sectors of the economy, all sectors of the human, all sectors of the country. Also, what I believe, we are suffering in the Arab world with the concept of financial inclusion. I was attending a conference in Cairo probably 1.5 years, or exactly before Corona, 2 months before Corona. He is the deputy of World Bank. What he divided the world in 3 categories. Arab world, 35%. Financial inclusion is only 35% as an average. In some countries, it's below that. In Iraq, it's not even 17%. The underdevelopment countries, whom they were 30 years behind us as Arab, now they are 45%. And the West and the Americans and the Europeans and some advanced countries in Asia, they are over 90%. Because I don't want to take more than of the time, I'll give the time for my brother Muhammad from Kuwait. I'm not going to be selfish because, by the way, I went to Kuwait, I was 5 years old. That was in 1957. And I spent most of my life in Kuwait. I studied in Kuwait and I worked in Kuwait. And Saddam Hussein, he came in 1990 and he says, Hani, can you please go back to Jordan? I told him, okay, never mind. I'm not going to say for you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I believe we need to plan sometime to touch the heart of the banks and financial institutions to see where and the trend is the banks, they are not understanding that they are real new players. They are fintech, they are financial institutions, they are competing with them, but it's the matter of what is going to happen between these two, who is taking the technology like Fatin and Dr. Rashidi or Dr. Shahir, and he wants to go live with the credit decision mechanism with the 20 seconds, which takes sometimes 1 month in the bank or minimum 1 week. Okay, thank you very much on that. And we have to plan another sessions where we focus in one element of the game. Thank you.
Most welcome, Hani Bey. Really, even for my name, I can say I admire and enjoy from your speech. Shukran for your this speech. Let's go to Kuwait, as you mentioned. Mohammed Al Rashidi Bey, a little mention about his works. Rashid Bey, can you give more detail? We would like to hear from you about your products or services that nowadays you are launching and already launched, that how you are benefit customers and perspective for digital transformation, and can be also from perspective of financial institutions that leverage your services as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I believe I have only 10 minutes because also I have another meeting and the rest of the team are also planning. I will try to squeeze it. I would like to thank Sister Fatin. Her presentation was very interesting and tapping in a very important area that we are working on with the OG Think, our AI platform, which is the fraud prevention. So in our platform is gonna be one of the major problems that we would like to resolve is the anomaly. This will be completely machine learning and deep learning. And it's one of the unique because we are not using any AI framework today inside the market like IBM Watson or Amazon Azure or AWS. No, we are building everything from scratch and building the mathematical formulas based on the uncertainty, which gonna be also co-op to the current situation of the uncertainty of COVID-19. The other important part that I was hearing from the rest of the team, especially Shahir, I like your solution and you are making anti-tawarruk, which is this is the very I believe this is very, very important what you are doing because Islamic finance is built on assets and not based on fiat. And you need to allocate directly the solution. We would like to explore that more together. We can help you as well in the partnership, and we do have a very interesting solution you will love that will enable your solution to all banks in the entire, not Middle East, globally. It's a digital transformation expeditation platform that will be a sort of decentralized marketplace for all financial services. And we do have digital KYC customers, we do have RegTech customers, your solution is very nice to be enrolled as well, to be part of that, and it's gonna be simply consumed by a single SDK from banks and fintech companies that would like to offer your service, or from the other side with the retailers. So everyone can build their own fancy front end, or you can offer them the front end, but you consume directly from our platform. This will give a digital financial inclusion, as Brother Hani was talking about the financial inclusion challenge. This will resolve a lot of financial inclusion issues. Today, one of the problems that Sis Fatin talked about is banks, they don't want to invest. Innovation today is not with the big companies, not with the enterprises. Innovation is with the startups. And that's why, and it's going to be not only with one startup. Every startup is looking to a totally different business model, how to solve the problem. So the challenge is one, but there are many business models that are solving this in a different way and angle. So we thought of that ecosystem that we build to support and help those startups to source that innovation into a single Fusion SDK in order for banks to consume easily, and other startups can consume easily without any challenges of the current vendor management and procurement cycle that is happening to pick one solution out from 1,000. And this will keep growing because the back end, the complete entire back end of the bank is going to be decentralized and going to be owned by 1,000 fintech, for example, company offering that, orchestrating all those fintechs. This is what we are coming into as a digital transformation company and innovation company. We build that incubator that will host and accelerate all these innovations directly to the market. This is in a nutshell how One Global is looking into that angle of the digital transformation in the fintech space, in digital healthcare. We are doing the same in digital sports, the esports. We are doing the same as well. there is a very important part that One Global today is, I talked about it, the FinTech, and how we are looking into that from Sharia point of view by tokenizing the major financial instrument inside Sharia is the sukuk. And this will enable also the startups. We are thinking of startups a lot, because we used to be startups, and we are today, we are a corporate as a body, but mind and heart, we are startups. So we act as startups. And what we thought of today, what is happening with VCs, taking that big equities inside the startups, financing and sourcing that fund to the startups is a challenge as well. So having private sukuks instead of sovereign sukuks, the big ones that governments are issuing, and quasi sukuks. So we said, let us go to the private sukuks and start now to tokenize the equities of those startups and release them in tokens that are digestible by the crowd. So anyone can buy an equity inside iFin if they would like to raise fund, by simply tokenizing certain shares inside the platform. Or a government, like for example in Oman, there is an infrastructure project that they would like to do raise financing with. They can do that with countries, or they can do it with people themselves, the Omanis. In Kuwait, for example, if there is oil, and that oil we would like to sell the excess out of it. We have a quota from OPEC. After OPEC, that quota, the rest, where it will go, you will keep it for next day. There are countries that want that. You can tokenize it and list it in that market. So there are a lot of opportunities in that domain and that space. And as Brother Mustafa was saying, I will talk about DeFi, because we've been in CeFi a lot, and we saw a lot of centralized finance issues and problems and challenges. We went to DeFi to resolve these from our foundation as a CeFi, with resolving all the challenges that is happening today from a chaos. No regulation, no transparency, no framework that governs that. So we built that in Switzerland together with FINMA, the regulator over there, to make it more institutional DeFi. We tokenized the entire platform processes. It's like robotic process automation, but with a blockchain. It's not with and smart contracts. It's happening everything inside the Ethereum blockchain. This is going to be launched very soon. There are a lot of countries, even the government of Turkey is interested. So lots of exchange markets are interested into that. We are in Malaysia as well. The Malaysian regulator over there is very excited about that. They are the hub of all sukuks actually. So that's why we went there. I saw in the expertise and of the team over here, this Islamic finance, but I don't know about Sis Fatin, if she's in the Islamic investment as well part. This would be interesting also to cross-check how we can collaborate. We like to build a value chain. We always build a value chain. We don't think like Java, Google or Amazon. By the way, something very important over here, everything is being built in-house. So we are not using anybody technology. Everything being completely done in-house. We've been building since 2004. Even we are having a very big declaration that will phase out the last, we got to celebrate the last day of using even the operating system of others. So we got to talk to hardware directly. So from hardware up to the full stack is completely revamped and restructured and decentralized as well, using our in-house technology that will inshallah make for this region, the MENA region that always they call us when I go to these missions, our conferences that you guys are consumers. You consume technology. You haven't done anything in that. So we are coming to that challenge. We take it in our shoulders and moving forward to prove, no, we are a creator, we are makers, and we're gonna make something big, inshallah. So I tried my best to squeeze it to fit the remaining 10 minutes because you can hear the calls are coming. I'm already in another meeting. Thank you, Brother Mustafa, for putting me in touch with this great minds. Sister Fatin, we've been before in one session, but the rest of the team would like to keep in touch, see how we can collaborate. Joining brains, we can create a great achievements. But working in silos and everyone is looking after his, and I believe this is the objective of others for us. So all the best without any further declaration. So I wish you all the best, and excuse me if I would like to leave earlier.
Most welcome, Mohammed Bey. Now already we are entering to the closing remarks stage. So welcome for your speech. If any, we will of course meet again. So for the stage of the closing session, that I would like to, and we would like to hear from you, what do you think about the next steps, next demands, next digital needs, or digital services waiting for us? What do you think? Let's start again in the term again with Dr. Fatin Hanım.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that during the session there was a lot of discussion on startups and supporting startups. In fact, the report that I have viewed with the Islamic Development Bank, there was a lot of talks about MSMEs. And part of my thesis was very focused on sustainable MSMEs. So this is a great opportunity. I think the focus should be shifted because when it comes to Islamic finance, we always forget its impact to the Islamic economy, like what Brother Hani have mentioned about financial inclusion. We would like to have people who have, access to finance, who can open accounts, who can make remittances, and use those services efficiently. And this is one. When it comes to MSMEs, however, it's a different thing. It's empowering them. It's giving them access to finance. It's giving them, less complexities when it comes to their setup. And, the innovation now allows it. Innovation allows it a lot. So if there is something that I really would like to concentrate on is pushing those startups to make it big. When I was in Malaysia, we used to use a taxi application called Grab. Over the years, Grab grew like anything. It went to Grab Food and then Grab e-wallet. And then, when I came to Oman, Grab, requested for a banking license with its collaboration with Singtel, which is the equivalent of Omantel here in Oman. So it's an application startup that started so humbly as a taxi app and grew to acquire a banking license to start over. So that is really important to think about the opportunities and the multiple ventures that and the wealth that we can bring to this region, which is highly needed, specifically at this COVID-19 time. Another thing that I would like to close by this particular discussion point is cybersecurity. With the Brett King book on Bank 4.0, he did mention that the Medici started with the banking idea in the 800s or even earlier. So the basic concept of the establishment of a bank is trust. Basic. Maybe it came, trust plus time, trust plus utility and time and place. At the end of the day, it is always with trust. So building these applications, they have to be credible. They have to be reliable, easy, and efficient. So otherwise, of course, even if we have like a tech savvy, young generation, if they don't think that it's fit for purpose, then they will probably revert to old ways. So, or, if there is any kind of fraud, I'm happy that Brother Muhammad mentioned that fraud detection is very important. And transparency and disclosures are very important. That's why, there are technologies we are using for traceability, such as blockchain nowadays. So cybersecurity is very important, and ensuring the stability of the financial system as well. Brother Mustafa, are you there? Or
yes, I am here. I am sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes I am unmute for any noise from me to not prevent a disruption. So, shukran, Fatin Hanam, as really your presentation was also very effective. Yani, really, it was good to hear and see this presentation. But we like after that always presentation, yeah, from you. Yeah, this is will be standard, yeah, inshallah. So let's continue with Shaher Bey again as his closing remarks, and as this service in Oman is starting, what is his business vision for
I
the
think
MENA?
Mustafa, we should give the turn to Hani, because he has to leave in a
Thank you
couple
very
of
much.
minutes.
Yes, well, and I have to prepare myself to do checkout and go to the airport. My closing remarks. What I recommend that we should give the opportunity for other people, and I recommend maybe Mustafa will have, let's say, 10 items to discuss and send to others and see what are the most important items that, I mean, it's sort of priority for others. So instead if we decide what we are going to give for the next, let's say, session, the audience decide, share us the decision, what are the, subjects or, trends or risk or worries or what innovations they are interested in. I'm not going to specify something, but I think this would be an idea at work. And I thank you very much indeed. Hope to see you, again. Are you staying in London for a long time, Doctor?
I'm actually now in Sweden. I'm actually in Sweden,
Okay.
and I will be traveling, to the GCC, to Oman and Dubai frequently, and to Istanbul, inshallah.
Hope to see you all soon.
Inshallah.
وإن شاء الله بنشوفكم على خير. وأنا بشكركم تماما، ويعني هذا عمل مشترك في بعد أخلاقي وبعد مهني، وبالتالي هاي مسؤولية وإن شاء الله إحنا بنكون أمينين عليها جميعا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Have a nice
السلام ورحمة الله.
travel, Hani Bey.
Thank you very much. يلا السلام عليكم.
Shukran for your joining. And then let's Shaher Bey, as closing remarks, we would like to hear from you.
Jazakallah khair. I think today's session was very interesting. We learned a lot from Fatin about the AI and the progress that has been made, and from Brother Muhammad also from Kuwait about the amazing work they do on their company and the digitalization front. I think there is a lot of work that we can do, and we are just starting up with the first stage, and so many things that we can bring. And for us at IFIN, at least, we're starting with the consumer product, and we're going next to the SMEs product. And this is where we think that we can also add value, because there is a lot of gap in, as Dr. Fatim was saying also, that's, there is a lot of work the governments are doing at the moment on the SME side, but without actually fruitful result. And I think this is mainly because they are not using the right channels to channel the efforts correctly. And what we need to do, if we can digitalize most of these services through one platform, so these exchange of information, these processes can be digitalized completely, I think the output from this can be great on the level of SMEs, SMEs in the GCC at least, yeah, because we know all the governments, they're putting a lot of efforts, but we're not getting there. We're not getting to the point where this sector is actually providing the output needed, because they are not getting the input that they need. And this is important, that's which we hope that will be the second stage, inshallah, in our journey. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, and I leave it for you to close, inshallah, the webinar, Brother Mustafa.
Most welcome. We would like to close the session from Fatin Hanım, Doktora Fatin Hanım. I want to say also Doktora, as Arabic says to ladies, as the Doktora Fatin Hanım. Please, in the name of us, all of us, please, could you close the session? Thanks to everyone to watch us, and later they will watch us.
Thank you. Certainly. Thank you, Brother Mustafa. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. It was wonderful to have you on board. I'm sure that you have learned a lot of new information today. You're welcome to join us for other events that are coming up in future. Faster Community welcomes all. This is a very neutral channel for us to discuss ideas, share knowledge, and build capacity in the region. We look forward for your participation in other events that are coming up. And please do not forget to visit us in our website. I'm sure that Brother Mustafa would be sending you the details regarding the website and other events that are coming up. Thanking you. جزاكم الله ألف خير ونلقاكم إن شاء الله مستقبلا. إلى اللقاء. مع السلامة.
Shukran, see you. Our website is very identical to us. Let me say just lastly, fintechmena.com. You can see our many events that are following events. Inshallah, we will continue to share knowledge as much as possible we can. Shukran, see you.